sees the means of production, and the like and subscribe button.
The ideal, so tonight I spoke to an economist who I trust. The ideal that Donald Trump is trying to do, the art of the deal with these tariffs, is to bring other countries back to us and say, okay, all right, fine. Let's sit down. We'll pull back some of our tariffs. You pull back some of your tariffs so we can sell.
A lot of the countries we're tariffing have no tariffs on us.
Some cars in Japan where they don't buy a lot of American cars, and maybe they'll chill out with some of the tariffs on that we charge them. I mean, that's the ideal. I'm not saying we're going to achieve that, but he's playing hardball real estate negotiation.
You know what I think is one of the problems, though, and these billionaires tend to say this. We've seen them quoted saying this, that America, should be able to withstand temporary pain. The problem is people living paycheck to paycheck and trying really hard to make ends meet. The people that are cutting the drugs in half in order to make it to the end of the month can't endure temporary pain the way a billionaire can do so. Right? The problem is that we're already suffering under very high grocery prices. It's one of the reasons that Donald Trump got elected, precisely about the egg prices. The eggs, by the way, some of which we are now having to import from some of these countries that he is now slapping tariffs on. And so it is so callous to say the art of the deal, he'll do this, he'll do that, because that's not going to happen in one day. That's not going to happen in 1 month.
Here's the thing, we don't know. We don't know.
It is remarkable how quickly the entire Republican machine went from Biden drove up the prices too high, we're going to bring him down, to actually everything's going to get way more expensive, but trust us, watch this kickflip. It took no time at all. It literally was like overnight, the shift. And the fact that so far they're getting away with it, like the fact that Trump is not currently at like 3% approval rating, is why we deserve to suffer as a country.
It could happen tomorrow. Japan could call him tomorrow and be like, let's sit down and negotiate.
But you know what? The likelihood that it happens by the way he did it is minimal, because he did it. It gives more people the desire to start to work together against us than to say, if he did it to 2 or 3 countries, maybe, but to do a sweeping tariff. I just said last segment, there are enemies like South Korea, Taiwan, and China starting to work together because of what Donald Trump is doing. That is not actually, you're helping them make deals, not make deals with us.
One of the other scenarios.
Media is so much more pro-Trump than 8 years ago. Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, like on every level, right? Zuckerberg has bent the knee. Meta is like explicitly pro-Trump. Google has done the same. They contributed money unprompted to Trump's inauguration fund, just as a symbol of fealty, right? Joe Rogan, obviously, massive media figure, no matter which way you want to slice it. Jeff Bezos, Amazon, obviously he's, doesn't really run social media the same way that like Zuckerberg does, but it's pretty insane that like Amazon, the largest distribution company in the world, pledged fealty. Tim Apple, yeah, to a lesser extent, but nonetheless to an extent. CNN CEO, they brought in a new CEO, and the new CEO was like, we're going to have more media that appeals to the right wing. We're going to shift to the right. And you see it even when you watch shows like this. The thing that fucks me up, man, is that in this program, CNN Newsnight, which we've been seeing a lot of clips of lately, usually the dynamic is you have 4 or 5 well-educated, I'm just going to say it because I'm not constrained by wokeness unlike you guys, black women or non-white women, people here who are not white men, we'll say, who are sane. And then you'll have one white guy whose job it is to be a retard partisan hack for Trump, who will defend Trump no matter what. And that's the dynamic. But the insane thing is, if this was Fox News, everyone here would be dunking on that white guy. Like if the positions were reversed, right? With the pocket liberal like they have in the 5, they would like mock them. But here, they have to keep pretending that these obviously dishonest, grinning, smirking freaks of nature are like actually here to participate in the conversation. You know? Like they're actually having a talk with someone rather than like giving their spiel and then hitting a button on the back of an action figure whose job it is to respond with like 2 or 3 pre-baked statements. They shouldn't be taken seriously. I mean, they shouldn't be allowed in the program at all. I have like a crazy opinion on my part. I think that news organizations should not have broadcasters whose only job is to lie. It feels like a fucked up, like a trickster Fae game, you know? Like you can, there are two paths before you, guarded each by one who only tells lies and one who only tells the truth. Why? You're not this isn't the Lost Woods. This is CNN. You don't need to have the guy on here whose job it is to lie. That's not actually a necessary position. You need people to run the lights and sounds, and it's not a necessary job.
This is from the Journal in a pretty scathing op-ed tonight. This is the Wall Street Journal. They say that this is actually also opening the door to corruption. Mr. Trump,
you know what I want, by the way? I want a program like this, except the one conservative every time they bring on is a random guy. The prerequisite is that they not have any media connections at all. They have to be like it's done by raffle. It's a regular guy. Conservatives are like, I'll defend Trump. I've got an idea. And they'll be given a fair briefing beforehand. You know, they'll be like, here are the talking points, right? Like, here's what we're going to discuss today. Here's what you're going to be given the opportunity to say, and give it your best shot, basically. And I want him to be treated fairly, by which I mean I want them to tear him apart. Like, just eviscerated. Absolutely ruthless. Blood sports on CNN. You just reinvented Jubilee? No, because Jubilee is exactly what I'm complaining about in this program. Jubilee is an artifice. It's a fake program designed to titillate by platforming people with bad ideas. And performatively bad ideas. The motherfuckers who go up there on Jubilee with the bad ideas, you know that gay twink from LA? He's in every one. Why? He works for Jubilee. He doesn't believe the bad shit he says. He's just on there for the views. You need to get someone with no media connections, just some random West Virginian conservative up here to argue about how like Trump's tariffs are going to help us in the long term. And I'm not saying they start out by being vicious to the guy. I think they should treat him fairly. I'm just saying that fair treatment of a Trump supporter will inevitably lead to blood sports. Or they kowtow.
Trump is saying that there will be no tariff exemptions, but watch that promise vanish as politicians, including Mr. Trump, see exemptions as a way to leverage campaign contributions from businesses. Liberation Day is buy another yacht day for the swamp. Ooh. The swamp that he's supposed to be draining.
Yeah, I don't know if I would agree with the premise of that argument as articulated. Could you levy tariff imports on, or rebates rather, on specific imports for certain industries? I think you can. That's one way to not have this compounding effect negatively on the consumer, particularly working class. I mean, these are things that you really have to think about and work through in a comprehensive way. But I do want to go back to the notion that I was mentioning earlier, and Ashley, you did touch on this, talking about Youngstown, Ohio, and how those jobs, they left, and it destroyed many towns and cities across the country. We do have to figure out, how do you revitalize those places?
But John,
and we're not discussing that.
Are those jobs, okay, Ashley was touching on this. Is it fair for politicians to say those jobs are going to come back in 2025 when we are on the cusp of AI, we are on the cusp of technological revolution, because Trump slapped some tariffs that benefit the auto industry in the short term?
No.
Why do we want manufacturing? Who wants to work in an assembly line? It is crazy that no one asked this question, by the way, because Democrats won't either. And I mean like all of them. AOC, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, none of them will say, oh, you want manufacturing jobs back? Sure, let's take a look at what manufacturing jobs look like today. Here's a live video feed from a security camera overlooking the suicide nets outside a factory in Beijing. Look at them down there. Look at them go. Oh, you want American-made like textiles? Okay, well, hey, let's go over to Bangladesh, all right? Let's take a look at what they're up to over there. You want American textile workers? We already have them. There are slaves. No, not slaves. There are sweatshop workers in LA. Seriously, right now, go to Union Station in Los Angeles and take the train up to Pasadena, the one that has an overline segment, okay? You will go over rows and rows of factories and mills east of Chinatown that are filled with sweatshop workers that are paid below minimum wage, and they're sewing clothes together. You can just check it out right now. Go inside. Go inside. We want that back. You want it?
So
The economy, your point, we're the largest economy in the world. 70% of this economy is consumer spending. 70.
I think the idea is that people would have a factory job than no job. See, that's bullshit because agricultural workers down in the South genuinely have had trouble getting Americans to move down there to pick crops. That's bullshit, man. The fact of the matter is, Americans have grown fat and lazy and arrogant, and they say they'll take any opportunity that comes their way, and they won't, and the math proves it. They don't want what that work looks like. And the American consumer does not want to pay the prices they would have to for all of our manufacturing being done here. The American dollar is just too strong. We benefit from the disparity in our currency's value and the value of currency over in China, Bangladesh, Taiwan, Vietnam, whatever. Well, not Taiwan really, but you know what I mean. Philippines, Vietnam. There are ways to build this out fairly. And I'm not saying there's no room for manufacturing here in America, but you can't bring all manufacturing back. Why would we? We already do a bunch of agricultural work here, and that's fine. It makes sense to produce food domestically. You know, you don't want to ship every morsel of food across the world before it makes its way into somebody's hungry mouth. Why the f do we need to be mining all of our iron ore here? Why the f does all of our steel production? What about our timber? Why would we produce all of our lumber domestically when Canada is to our north? Can't we benefit a little bit from national specialization while also advocating for robust job security? Like, nobody understands what this all leads to, what the vision is. You're between a rock and a hard place, okay? You can't manufacture everything or even close to everything here in the United States because people aren't going to pay those prices. In order to keep prices down, you would have to treat American textile workers as bad or worse than Bangladeshi textile workers. And nobody wants that. We just want to complain. We just want to complain. Oh, I want everything. I want to have the strongest economy in the world. I want to be able to import everything from everywhere for cheap. I want to be able to get my Chinese sweet treats. But I also want everyone to be able to afford a house and pay for the college of their children off of one income and a manufacturing job that hasn't existed for 60 years. I want all the manufacturing to be here, and I want all the domestic production to be here, but I don't want to have to pay American-made prices for it. I'm sorry, man. How privileged we are to even be able to argue like this. How good we must have it that we can go out there and be like, well, no, I want literally everything. If you want your money, take it. The bourgeoisie have it. Where'd the money go? Where'd the money go? It's up there. And in the Cayman Islands. You can fix all of this with redistributive. If we had the taxation and redistributive policies that you would get from a place like France or Germany or whatever, we could live like kings. If you had a wealth tax, a sane, sensible wealth, I'm not even talking like some policies I would support. I'm talking just like we did it like Norway or something. Every American could live like a king. It wouldn't take that much. We have an insane amount of money in this country.